After months of going for the entire first phase of the MCU, we have finally reached the culmination. Through 5 films, we learn the backstory of Nick Fury, Black Widow, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and the Hulk, and finally, they all come together in one big film called The Avengers. Of course, this film was massively important. At this point, there was nothing more important than this, because of course it's called the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and going into this, we knew the films were all connected. But this is the film where everything truly actually did become connected. Despite being completely different from one another, Earth's mightiest heroes have to come together to stop Thor's evil younger brother Loki from destroying the world. But of course, there's a lot of turmoil along the way. Can they actually come together and stop this evil, or will they tear each other apart from the inside? Everybody was very excited to see what it would be, as this became by far the most successful superhero movie of all time, at the time. At the time, there was only one superhero film that had ever grossed over $1 billion, and that was The Dark Knight in 2008, which barely got over the mark. This, of course, shattered that, as it grossed $1.5 billion. And with how important this was, would it knock it out of the park, or would it tear everything down? Well, we're about to find out the answer right now, as we take a look back at The Avengers. So the movie starts with our main villain Loki meeting with some kind of being called the Other. Basically, the Other's gonna give him this cool-ass scepter as well as an army, and all Loki has to do is retrieve the Tesseract. Sounds simple enough, except, well, the Tesseract is under the watchful eye of S.H.I.E.L.D. Good thing Loki can use his scepter powers to just teleport his ass on in there. Loki easily kicks everybody's ass, and is able to use the power of the scepter to mind control Dr. Eric Selvig as well as Hawkeye. Nick Fury's not gonna go down easy though. Oh, well, okay, never mind, that's pretty easy. The new villain trio escape with the Tesseract while S.H.I.E.L.D. agents begin to follow them. Meanwhile, the entire S.H.I.E.L.D. base begins to collapse into the ground. After Agent Hill and friends fail to stop the villains, Nick Fury gives it one last shot in his mighty helicopter, which doesn't go very well for him. With the S.H.I.E.L.D. base destroyed and the Tesseract gone, Fury lets everyone know of the gravity of the situation. They are now officially at war. But meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom, it appears Agent Romanoff is in some trouble. Or maybe not. After she gets a phone call from Coulson, it's revealed she's literally just playing these guys for information. Coulson lets her know that her good friend Hawkeye has been compromised, and after hearing this, she promptly beats the crap out of her captors. After she's done, she's then instructed to go to India to locate Edward Norton. Bahaha, just kidding, as the role of Bruce Banner is now being portrayed by Mark Ruffalo. After she initially tells Banner that they're alone, he decides to scare the crap out of her, and it's revealed, well, otherwise. Back in New York City, meanwhile, Steve Rogers is having flashbacks and beating the ever-living shit out of a punching bag. We then basically get an extended version of the end credit scene from Captain America: The First Avenger, as Fury lets Captain America know about the plan. Back in Malibu, meanwhile, Tony Stark and his now girlfriend Pepper Potts are completing a plan to have Stark Tower run entirely on clean energy. Before they can celebrate though, Agent Coulson interrupts and gives Stark some information about the Tesseract for him to review. Meanwhile, Rogers is flying to the new S.H.I.E.L.D. base with Coulson, who is trying his best not to completely fanboy. But meanwhile, in the true Legion of Doom, Loki and the Other are having it out about Loki's war. Loki assures him that everything will go well, but the Other assures him that if it doesn't, he will feel pain like he's never felt before, because that's reassuring. Banner and Rogers, meanwhile, meet on top of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s helicarrier, which is revealed to be a fucking flying helicarrier. The mind-controlled Eric Selvig, meanwhile, has informed the also mind-controlled Hawkeye that he needs to steal some iridium in order to stabilize the Tesseract's power. Barton informs Loki of this and tells Loki that all he needs from him is to cause a distraction. That distraction comes in the form of Loki going to Germany and making the German citizens bow to an oppressive ruler. Man, where have I heard that before? Luckily, the symbol of America is here to bail Germany out, because where have I heard that before? Captain America's having a little bit of trouble handling Loki by himself though, but luckily help has come in the form of Iron Man. However, as they're taking Loki back to the helicarrier on a ship, they begin to sense that something is too wrong, as well, Loki kinda gave up a little bit too easy. Looks like they were right as Thor has arrived to save his brother? Well, not quite. Thor first attempts to appeal to Loki's good nature, and that obviously doesn't work, so then he threatens him and tries to get the location of the Tesseract before he's tackled by Iron Man. It's time for our first big hero versus hero battle as Iron Man and Thor start going at it all throughout a forest. Captain America tries to break things up, but Thor decides to put the hammer down. The hammer resonates off Rogers' shield and all three men reach a stalemate. With a mutual understanding, Loki is taken back to the helicarrier, where he is put inside a containment box by Nick Fury. The soon-to-be Avengers get to know each other, and they begin to grow suspicious of S.H.I.E.L.D. and what they may be hiding inside this helicarrier. And in that suspicious vein, Stark decides to hack into their systems while Rogers goes a snooping. Agent Romanoff has other ideas though, as she decides to confront Loki about the whereabouts of Hawkeye. Loki is curious as to why she wants to know, and she tells him a story about how Hawkeye once saved her life. Loki reveals to know a lot about her backstory though, and that she's got red in her ledger. He then goes on an incredibly evil rant, apparently tearing her down emotionally. However, in his madness, he accidentally reveals his play, that he intends to unleash the Hulk. Turns out he was the one getting played, as Romanoff was faking it the whole time to get information from him. Things are getting pretty testy though, as Rogers, Stark, and Banner have uncovered S.H.I.E.L.D.'s big secret. They're planning to use the Tesseract to make nuclear weapons. Fury justifies this, however, because after Thor came in, he became aware that other realms and planets exist, and if they decide to attack Earth, well, they need to be prepared. Everyone continues to argue about this, however, which causes the mysterious scepter to give off a lot of energy, which makes it a lot easier for Hawkeye and friends to locate it. Tension continues to grow, particularly between Stark and Rogers, and it almost causes Banner to completely lose his cool. Hawkeye decides enough of this shit though, and decides to break everything up by blowing up one of the helicarrier's engines. This explosion has unfortunately realized Loki's plan, as completely enraged, Banner transforms into the Hulk. The Hulk begins giving chase to Romanoff before Thor is able to save her. Thor and the Hulk go at it a little bit until Hulk is distracted by a gunship, which he leaps onto, falls off of, and goes careening towards Earth. Meanwhile, Rogers and Stark are devising a plan to try to fix the engine. Rogers is a little preoccupied though, as 3 of Hawkeye's agents run in, and one of them is able to pin him down. Romanoff, meanwhile, learns that Hawkeye's on board, and she goes to confront him. Thor tries to confront Loki, but unfortunately Loki has tricked him once again, and locks him in the pod while Loki escapes. Luckily, Agent Coulson is here to save the day with a big-ass gun. Ah, shit. Well, with Coulson probably dead, Loki decides, alright, bye brother, and shoots Thor, also careening towards the Earth. Luckily, Thor is able to break out the last minute though, and not die. As he's dying though, Coulson is able to get the last laugh as he tells Loki he lacks conviction. Just as Loki's about to go on a big rant, Coulson shoots him with the gun. Meanwhile, Rogers is finally able to get past that last guy who was shooting at him, and him and Stark are able to repair one of the engines. In more good news, Agent Romanoff was able to snap Hawkeye out of it by giving him brain damage. In bad news though, Loki was able to escape, and he has the scepter once again. Coulson unfortunately is not able to survive his wounds and he does die, which sends everybody into Big Depression hours. Back on Earth, Thor begins to contemplate life, while the Hulk, who is now transformed back into Bruce Banner, wakes up in some kind of building he crashed through. But hey, Hawkeye's recovered from his mind control and also brain damage, so at least there's that. Stark and Rogers meanwhile discuss Loki's motives, and they're able to divulge where he has the Tesseract located, on top of Stark Tower. All the Avengers suit up and head for Stark Tower individually. Stark gets there first and decides to take his suit off and confront Loki as a man. Stark and Loki trade words before the impending war, and Loki tries to take control of Stark as well, but he can't because of the art reactor thing protecting Stark's heart. Loki gets frustrated at this and just decides to yeet Tony out a window. Luckily, Tony is saved at the last minute by his suit. But just as Iron Man gets the upper hand on Loki, the Tesseract activates the portal in the sky, opening the door for the Chitauri to come to Earth. And come to Earth they do in droves, and they start fucking everything up. Meanwhile, Thor has arrived as well, and he starts battling with Loki on top of the tower. Rogers, Hawkeye, and Romanoff are here too, and when they try to help Thor, they promptly get shot out of the sky. I mean, it could be worse, right? It's not like the Chitauri have giant carrier things that can fly. Oh my god, they have giant carrier things that can fly. Thor is able to get the better of Loki for a second, but Loki fucking stabs him and is able to get away on a speed bike. Captain America proceeds to do Captain America shit, like organizing the police force and saving some civilians. All the Avengers meet up on the ground, including Banner, who has arrived. Well, minus Stark, who is leading the giant flying carrier thing. In that moment, Banner finally reveals his secret, that he's always angry, and immediately transforms into the Hulk and takes down the carrier. Alright, sweet, well that's taken care of. It's not like they have more of those things. Oh, come on! Well, looks like they need a plan, which they formulate, and they all get to work taking on the Chitauri. Meanwhile, the World Council is on the phone with Fury, who instructs him to nuke New York. Fury's like, yeah, nah, not gonna do that. Meanwhile, Loki gets shot back to Stark Tower, where he's confronted by the Hulk, who promptly, in a hilarious scene, ragdolls the ever-living shit out of him. Black Widow confronts Eric Selvig on the roof, and it looks like Selvig has achieved brain damage. Hooray, he's back to normal. Selvig divulges that there's only really one way to close the portal, by using the scepter. This battle has raged on for a long while though, and the Avengers are getting tired. To make things ever fucking worse, the Council has decided to launch that nuclear missile anyway. As the missile's coming in, Iron Man intercepts it and takes it, and Tony Stark decides to sacrifice himself by launching the nuke into space and blowing up the Chitauri army. Not only is he able to successfully do this, but he's able to fall out of the portal back into Earth right before Black Widow closes it. Unfortunately, he's not really conscious, but luckily he's saved by the Hulk at the last minute. But uh-oh, looks like Tony Stark's dead. But wait, that can't be. This is only the first Avengers movie. Yeah, he's fine. Well, looks like they won, so Tony suggests getting some shawarma. Don't know what that is, but it sounds delicious. Before they can do that, though, they go about capturing Loki. Afterwards, the world strongly debates the Avengers' actions, wondering if they really protected him from anything, or if they are the cause of all this in the first place. Everybody goes their separate ways, including Thor, who takes the Tesseract and Loki back to Asgard with him. Nick Fury is confident, though, that when the world needs them, the Avengers will return. That is hinted at by the fact that Stark Tower has had all the letters on it destroyed, except for one, the letter A. In a mid-credit scene, the Other confides the danger of Earth in his master, who is revealed to be fucking Thanos. And in a light-hearted end-credit scene, looks like they finally got that shawarma. So now that I have ended this review, I have to answer the question I have been debating myself a lot this last 2 weeks. This movie was incredible, but was it the best movie of Phase 1? Well, I'm about to figure that out right now. So obviously this is top 2. It's between this and Iron Man, but man, I will tell you what, I have been going back and forth a lot on which movie is better. Iron Man, of course, was the perfect solo movie. It encapsulated everything good about Tony Stark, but this was the perfect collab movie. This movie was legendary. This movie set up every other collab to come in the future of the MCU. And this was not an easy decision. It was a decision I changed back and forth multiple times. But while thinking about it a lot, I came to the decision that just barely, by the thinnest of margins, yes, The Avengers is the best movie of Phase 1. And as we end out Phase 1, here's the rankings of the 6 movies. The Avengers number 1, Iron Man number 2, Captain America the First Avenger number 3, Thor number 4, Iron Man 2 number 5, and The Incredible Hulk number 6. This movie, ladies and gentlemen, was just the ultimate icebreaker. It really did break the ice for all the collabs we were going to see in the future. Because collabs in the future of the MCU were not limited to just Avengers movies. There were multiple collabs in individual character movies as well. This, of course, I would put as a top-tier MCU movie, and it's kind of fitting how the first phase of the MCU went. It started with a top-tier movie, then it had 2 straight low-tier movies, then 2 straight mid-tier movies, and then ended with another top-tier movie. And now, of course, we're going to move on to Phase 2, which also has 6 movies, and is going to introduce a lot of new characters, as well as giving a lot of sequels to the characters in the first phase. So where are we going next? Well, we are going to the 3rd and final Iron Man movie, Iron Man 3. And boy, does that movie frustrate me. Why does it frustrate me? Well, you'll find out when we take a look back at that next time. What's funny about the first Avengers film, though, I gotta say, with the benefit of hindsight, is in a weird way, it almost seems trivial to what came next. Maybe not to Age of Ultron, but after everything that happened in Infinity War and then Endgame, I mean, the events of this looked like child's play compared to that. But it was still a very good opening challenge and really built a great arc of everybody coming together and overcoming their own differences. How long do I think this will stay number 1 for? Well, to be honest, looking at the films in Phase 2, there actually is one that I think could overcome it. It's not the next Avengers film, though. I don't hate Age of Ultron as much as a lot of people do, but it's not better than this. It's just not. But ladies and gentlemen, all of that is for another time. I hope you enjoyed my MCU look back at the Avengers. We will be back soon with Iron Man 3, probably in a couple weeks. Join me back here next week for my look back at Godzilla vs. Mothra, which, since I'm doing the Mothra franchise in addition to Godzilla franchise, will be classified as both a Mothra and Godzilla look back. After that, we are doing the next King Kong film, King Kong Escapes, and then after that, probably Iron Man 3. But I thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, be sure to like it. If you didn't like it, don't. Thank you to all of my patrons listed in the description for your constant support of me and both my channels, all my channels, really. My name is Noah Taft. This has been my MCU look back at the Avengers. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.